Hi, everyone. I am just going to be honest. This is like my fourth attempt to record this episode. And however this sounds, I'm just going to keep recording because I am having a hard time talking today. But do I sound different to you? I should, because I am a professional and I have a microphone now that plugs into my laptop so that you don't have to hear all the clickety clackety sounds my mouth makes. So hopefully that kind of like cuts back on those. So I use this like app called Spotify for podcasters, and that's what I've been using this whole time. And they've been announcing that they're doing away with like their recording tool within the app because they're partnering with some other company. And then like you can use their tools to record within the app. Like, I don't know, it was too much for my brain to process. Basically, like, this entire time, I just go into the app and I record through there, and, like, there's that. But they're doing away with it. And I'm like, well, I don't wanna have to learn something new. So, I have been recording audio for my course that I've been doing that I'll talk about within in the next week or 2 when it's done. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I figured out how to use a microphone and how to like record episodes and do that. And so like why couldn't I do that for the podcast? So it took me 206 episodes to realize that there's a way easier way to record episodes and that if I need to pause them, I can pause them and then just go right back in and not have to worry about editing. Why did nobody tell me about this? 206 episodes later, this didn't dawn on me that like my life could have been easier, your ears could have been better, without having to listen to my mouth sounds. But yeah, I have a lot of audio that I've been recording for my course because I have like lessons and stuff. Like so many that I want to provide audio files for. And so I was like, there's no reason why I can't just use this format to start recording my podcast episodes. So I hope that's okay. I don't know if anybody else is like this, but when I've been listening to somebody's podcast and they switch methods of how they record, I don't like it. It pisses me off for the first episode or two because I liked the way they sounded before they switched to audio things. Um, so hopefully nobody feels that way. If anything, I hope it's better for you because you don't have to listen to those mouth sounds. But yeah, so that's why I sound different. Um, so there's a few things before I wanted to get into what I got on here to talk about. One is I know I am that annoying person, but like I just gonna have to say it out loud. I was listening to one of Maya and Bialik's recent episodes. She and Jonathan were interviewing Paul Shear, and Paul pretty much said that he's autistic. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody listened to that episode, my brain comprehended that he was pretty much saying that he's autistic without actually saying it. Like, he mentioned something about self-diagnosing and didn't sound like that was his cup of beer or whatever. Um, tea. Is that what they say? Cup of tea. And so I was like, I was, like, on the edge of my seat, like, not literally, but I was like, "Okay, you're talking you said the A word, you said autism. Here's Mayim and Jonathan, like, they're talking to you, like, maybe something will click in their heads that they're autistic too." No, they had this entire conversation, and at the end of it, Mayim Bialik and Jonathan just pretty much were like, "Yeah, we both have, like, ADHD." And then that's it. This is torture. I understand that I have no business interfering in other people's lives and informing them about themselves. That's a very, like, ugh, but, like, I can't help but want to do that, even though it's never gone well for me. Like, I don't know how to not be bothered by this. Um, I can't I don't know, like, I'm just it's probably because I'm listening to a neuroscientist's podcast and she is very, very intelligent when it comes to the brain, except she's missing something so obvious. It's her own fucking brain. Like her own autism. And so I am just like, when will you guys figure this shit out? Because wouldn't she be a good, like, representative for the autistic community? Not that, like, we don't have any, but, like, she'd be a good one, and I bet her episodes would be awesome, like, even better than they already are. That's annoying. And you know what else is annoying? It's not really annoying, but I almost exclusively listen to podcasts by other autistic people because I benefit. Like, I don't like to listen to any podcast about anything else because no, thank you. And so I went on the hunt for a new podcast to see, like, if any new ones are popping up that I can add to my rotation. And I came across this podcast called Handsome, and it's a comedy one. Fortune Feimster, Tig Notaro, and Mae Martin are all on the podcast. Like, it's their podcast. And I listened to the first episode, and it was hilarious. And about 5 minutes into the episode, I thought to myself, these are three autistic comedians, and this is a pretty autistic sounding podcast already. Like, they have no idea that they're autistic, just me, because, like, I am the autism whisperer. I don't know. I'm not, but, I was listening to them and I was just like, ooh, I really wish they knew that they were autistic. Why do so many people not seem to know this about themselves? And this is why I really, really, really deep down, with no evidence to support this, I really, really believe that there are more autistic people in the world than not. I really believe that. And like, I only have my perspective, and I'm just like this tiny speck of a human that lives on one part of the planet, like, barely visible. But you know what? Everybody I am seeing on TV and even in person, and like thinking back throughout my life, there's so many autistic people that don't know that they're autistic. And it's most glaringly obvious in um like TV shows, like celebrities, people when you see, like, music and stuff like that. Like, for me, it's obvious, like, that's where they all are. And I know that there's more of us because I see them on reality TV shows. And how tired are you guys of hearing me say the same shit over and over again? But you know what? I really do believe that there's more of us. I don't think that there isn't. I don't think that we're some minority or something. Um, I don't believe that. There are way too many people I'm seeing that have no clue. Um, and that's sad. And I'm just gonna move on because I just wanted to say that out loud. I'm still gonna listen to that podcast, even though, like, I love comedy. I just have a hard time listening to comedy on a podcast because I don't feel like I benefit. I don't learn anything, but I guess I can listen to something for fun once in a while. And if these three are autistic and don't know it, like, I might as well. I don't know. Um, Another thing I wanted to say is I'm pretty sure that we have been poisoning our cats with their food, not on purpose. Um, I feel like a shitty cat mom. Like, I don't think Hades died from, like, the food. Basically, we've been feeding our cats Purina One sensitive stomach for years because, especially with Caesar, when we first got him, he had stomach issues. He was just very allergic to things. And so we tried a few different things and we settled on Purina One because he liked it and it didn't seem like it was not going to be good for him. Anyways, I've been on here before talking about how, like, Xena, we call her Patches because she pulls parts of her fur out because of her allergies. We've taken that bitch to the vet. She's gotten allergy shots that last for maybe a month before she's right back at pulling her hair out again. And that's Xena. And then so Caesar's been getting a little bit bonier. And it just doesn't feel like his body should be feeling that way at his age. He seems too young for that. And so Alicia had went next door to stay at Janice's house a while back to watch the animals. And if you heard that episode, I mentioned how, like, we ran out of food for the cat, and then Janice didn't know what kind, like, we went and got her cat new food, and it was Iams, And because Janice didn't remember like what she was feeding her cat to begin with, and so 2 weeks later the cat bulked up. It had energy. It looked like it was not on the verge of death, and it was because of the food, because it was getting nutrition and stuff that the fucking meow mix or whatever the fuck she was feeding that cat wasn't giving him. And the thought popped into my head, like, why not try switching their food? And I get really nervous about doing that because it seems like this big, huge process in my head of like, how are they going to adapt to this new food? Are there going to be a bunch of cats like throwing up and like trying to get used to it? And it's just really not that difficult. And so I asked Alicia, I was like, are you okay with like me switching the cat's food? Because like maybe they need something different. Could that help? And you know what? Oh my god. We switched to IAMS, the same kind that we put Janice's cat on, and within 2 weeks, Xena no longer has patches. Her hair has grown back. She has a very soft coat. It's not coarse anymore. She is not dandruffy. She is a happy cat and looks like a brand new kitty. And that's from switching her to IAMS. I'm not advocating, like, I'm not like advertising for IAMS. I'm just saying that's what I ended up trying them like with. And then Caesar, when he was starting to get bony, he is bulked up. He is no longer that bony. Actually, he's not bony at all. He's a regular cat, like feels like a regular cat. And then Morpheus, oh man, that cat was already big. He is even bigger. It's muscle. It's like meat that he's got. Like he's a ginormous fucking cat, and this food is just making him gross. So like, I don't know if we stunted his growth or whatever, but basically, I just was like, oh my god, these poor fucking cats have been eating food that hasn't been like doing a whole lot for them, and I feel terrible. I also want to blame the vet, even though I don't think that that's the right thing to do. But it's like, why didn't the vet think about this when we brought our cat in twice? We brought Bitchy in and we're like, she's got patches, there are allergies. Why didn't he think to suggest switching her food or ask about that? Because that's the obvious culprit. So now it looks like our cats might live a little bit longer. So, um, if there's anybody out there that like maybe their cats are just starting to be wonky, like hers have been like acting wonky, maybe look into changing their food and see if that has anything to do with it. Like, holy shit, I feel terrible. Like, I really thought I was a good pet owner, and now I think I need to just re-educate myself on cat nutrition or something. But anyways, moving right along. How much time did I waste on that? Oh, the computer says 13 minutes. Well, here's what I got on here to talk about that's probably going to take less time than those other things did. So I've been dodging a neighbor for years, and this neighbor is also a former professor by the name of Mr. Higgins. I believe I've talked about him on here before. Um, and I've been very successful at like not having to like interact with him. So like when we moved to Syracuse like years ago, like what, 2013, we moved to Syracuse. I found out that Mr. Higgins lived down the road and a block over. Um, which is fine, but like I didn't want anybody knowing me like already living that close to me because we were like moving out here for new jobs, new lives, whatever. And so he was a real dork in community college. Like, he was such a nerd, that professor, and nobody liked him except for me. I loved Mr. Higgins because he was so smart. I understood his awkward sense of humor. Um, but it doesn't mean that like I want to like have conversations with him like in real life. I don't know. So when the pandemic started, I would see Mr. Higgins walk. He would do like a daily walk. Like there's a few of us autistic people around this neighborhood that do like daily walks like at specific times every day, and he's one of them. I'm not, but he's one of them. And so like I had that shit timed during the pandemic when everybody was on lockdown, and I would make sure that I wasn't outside doing any yard work when it was time for him to make his rounds, because that's how badly I wanted to avoid a conversation. He could have been anybody. It's not just because it's Mr. Higgins, he could have been anybody. And then there's been plenty of times where, like, because he knows Alicia, because, like, when we moved here, I introduced him to Alicia, so he knows that she's my wife. And so there have been plenty of times that he has walked by the house. I have been inside, like right inside the door, and I can hear him say hi to her. And I can hear him say, "Tell Ange I said hi." And I could just pop my head out and say something, and I don't. I can't count how many times that's happened. And I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty good at this shit. And then the pandemic got better, and like in the couple of years, 2, 3 years since then, still haven't run into the dude, but I have seen him. And so I was like, I don't know if I turned it into a game or what, but finally this past weekend I encountered Mr. Higgins. Me and Alicia were outside doing yard work. I was bringing the wheelbarrow from the out back to the out front, and there he was. And he was so happy to see me, and I cannot say that I felt the same way. But according to him, we haven't talked since 2016. And it's 2024. So he's saying that like we haven't had an in-person conversation in 8 years. Has it really been that long? Because if it has, I am so good at hiding from people. Like I have like made this into a sport. I've been so good at dodging Mr. Higgins. Um, not just him, like other neighbors and stuff, but like I don't know. I was surprised. And he's like, "Yeah, the last time I talked to you, I was telling you that, I've just gotten over like colon cancer or just got diagnosed with it or something." I think he said he had gotten through it because I would have remembered if he did. I don't know. But yeah, that was 8 years ago, and he's like, "That's crazy that all this time went by before we saw each other." I'm like, "Yeah, small, like I don't know how that happens. It's such a small world, and how's it possible to just avoid for somebody for like so long before you run into them?" And like I knew how to like I don't know, I do this shit on purpose, and I do it because like I don't want to have conversations. Like, have you listened to me talk on here for the last whatever 17 minutes now? Oh no, are you still listening? This is like my brain after a week of living on the internet, talking into my microphone for hours, researching. Like, my brain is just all over the fucking place right now. Um, but this episode really is about the fact that I'm proud that like I dodged him for so many years, but he finally found me. And now I'm not sure if I go back to dodging him again. I mean, that's 8 years of work I put in to avoid like a 5-minute conversation because that's really all that turned out to be this past weekend. Maybe 7 minutes at most. It's not like I was counting, but it wasn't even a long conversation. And the good news was it was starting to rain, and like a storm was moving in, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, weather." And I pointed to the sky and I said to Mr. Higgins, like, "You might want to like make it home soon because you still have a ways to go and it's gonna rain." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, the good idea." And so he started walking away, and then like it started downpouring. I felt bad that he had to walk home in that, but it saved me from having to converse. What is wrong with me, man? Like, I'm on here. Now we're 18 minutes. I'm sorry, like, I can't help but look at this computer thing now that I have to look at my laptop when I'm on here. And I've spent 19 minutes now talking about stuff that isn't going to change anybody's life, but there's still people listening, hoping that it will. Why? I'm so sorry that, like, I don't know if you thought that any of this would be, like, transformative in some way. Um, this is not that episode. And I am just saying that Mr. Higgins found me. And now I have to go back to the drawing board, as they say, and strategize. Like, I'm trying to get Alicia to let us just get a whole bunch of like tall trees or like tall bush things to put around the house and just hide the house. Just hide our house from the rest of the neighbors, please. Oh man, do I publish this? I guess the answer is going to be yes. I'm not sorry for how I talked. I'm just sorry for the content of today's episode. You know what? If you did relate to it in some way, that would be really great, and I would love to hear if you did relate in any way. I just want to throw some feelers out there. If there's anybody that happens to know Maya Bialik, can you email her and suggest to her perhaps that she's autistic? And also, if there's anybody that wants to read some stuff that I write, you could go over to Substack. Um, you can read my stuff for free. You don't have to pay to read it. Like, I don't have my content locked. I don't believe I don't believe in doing that. I think that, like, subscriptions are great and I really do appreciate them and I really would like more, but I don't believe like in hiding my content just to get money because there's people that could benefit from some of the stuff that I'm writing over there. And, so like if you get bored, feel free. It's over on Substack. You can just search for me over there and read some stuff. You don't have to pay to subscribe. You can actually subscribe for free, and it would be great if you did that. And also cuz I would like to like meet more of you guys. Because it feels weird that I've only met like I don't know, like a handful of you guys in the 2 years I've been doing this, and I really want to get to know more of you. So, if you head over there, like, we can chat or whatever. That would be great. You could read some stuff. You could tell me that my writing sucks and that I really should think about something else to do on the side. Um, or not. I'm going to get off of here now. Thank you for listening. And please keep listening. If you're on the fence about whether or not to continue and you've been listening in order, you know you have to continue. You can't just stop listening after 206 episodes. Like, you couldn't do that to yourself, could you? Thank you for listening. Goodbye.